Okay guys, it's time to get real. I'm a little bit nervous to create this video because I'm talking into a camera. I have no idea how what I'm going to say will be received by you, but I just want to address some different comments that people have made on my YouTube channel. Now, first of all, I want to say having the ability for people to comment on YouTube is both a huge blessing, but kind of a terrible curse too. For example, on Amazon, people can review my books, and I've stopped looking at those. I also don't go to Goodreads and see what people say over there because, to be quite honest, even if you get 100 positive comments if people love my stuff or whatever, it only takes one negative comment to kind of make me doubt myself a little bit. And I have to be honest, it kind of affects my creativity. Imagine you going to work every day, doing what you normally do every day, and if it was filmed and put on YouTube, and then people critique it. Their opinions might be valid, but still, people critiquing you, it kind of stifles what you're doing, especially if it's a creative pursuit. So I've considered not even looking at comments, but I like to interact with you guys. I like to interact, especially with the people who comment frequently and have questions or have positive things to say. I want to tell them thank you because I appreciate that support. So I don't know that I'm going to stop looking at comments, but I have to tell you, there are times that people make really snarky comments, and in those situations, I may just delete your comment because I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Or YouTube has a feature where people who have channels can select hide user from channel, which is basically shadow banning you so that you are typing up your comment and you're thinking you're telling the world your opinion, your wonderful opinion that's super negative and snarky and rude. But guess what? No one sees it but you. So I may do that too. That's something that YouTube allows content creators to do, which is really nice. So, because again, it affects my creativity. Like as I'm writing my latest post-apocalyptic story, I think, well, what are people going to say about this part? And I need to shut that off because I have to let my creativity flow. And it's difficult when my internal editor is telling me, oh no, don't put that, don't put that. I just have to let the creativity flow. So anyway, that's why the comments can be both a blessing and a curse. But I do want to address some questions and comments that people have made. First of all, my relationship status. I'm happily married. I've been married a long time, over 30 years, way over 30 years. I got married at 19, so I got married pretty young, but my husband and I are quite happy. We have 4 adult children. I actually have grandchildren, so I'm older than I look, but I am happily married. In fact, here's a picture of my adult children. I'm not going to put pictures of my grandchildren because I don't know if their parents are okay with that. But so not single, married. Most of the comments I get are in relation to my pandemic series. And so I want to address some of those comments. First of all, the whole thing with the eyebrows. I know that I used people's like, oh, their eyebrows rose or their whatever a lot in that series. And a few things about that. One, when you read it, you don't notice so much. In fact, my own father, he read the ebook version of the series and never noticed the eyebrow thing. But then he went back and he listened to the audiobooks and he commented on the eyebrow thing. I'm like, Dad, please, I get enough of that. So, but it just kind of hits differently in audio versus when you read it. So I never noticed that I kind of overused those phrases until people started commenting on my YouTube channel. Now, unfortunately, YouTube does not allow me to go back and edit videos that are over 6 hours, and the first book is 6 hours and 12 minutes. I actually reached out to YouTube. I'm like, hey, it's barely over that 6-hour limit. Is there any way I can make some changes? Because I could go ahead and cut out some of those phrases, but they wouldn't let me. And as of now, I have like over 250,000 views of that video. So I don't want to take it down, make changes and re-upload it because I would be starting from zero. So I'm kind of stuck with having those eyebrow mentions. And I have to say, the people who are snarky about it probably aren't even watching this video. So the people watching this video are my fans. And so, and they're not the ones making these comments. But if I see snarky comments about the eyebrows, I'm just going to delete them because I don't need that kind of negativity. Okay. Now, another comment, people don't like Jessica that much. Now, I feel like she's a typical, she's not a warrior. She's not a superhero. She's not someone with all kinds of training with, and knows karate and uses guns. She's just a kind of typical person, a typical soccer mom, I guess you would say. And the apocalypse kind of takes her by surprise. I mean, if you really think about it, the women in your life, maybe they are superheroes, maybe they are warriors. But if you think about the women in your life, I bet a lot of them would be hesitant to kill people too. I mean, we think, oh yeah, if it were me, I would do this. But in reality, would you? And maybe you would. And that's okay, I guess. But I don't know. I would, when it comes right down to it, taking a life is a big deal. And I don't know how easy it would be. Now, if a family member was in peril, you think, yeah, I totally would. But when it comes time to pull that trigger, it's kind of a scary thing. It's kind of a big deal, especially if you're a person who has a strong sense of right and wrong. It's not easy to kill someone. And you may second guess yourself and think, well, because you're human. So don't judge Jessica too harshly. I just try to write her as kind of a real person, a person who has a kind heart and who isn't just ready to dive into the apocalypse like she's Michonne from Walking Dead or Carol. Of course, Carol's had quite a journey. We won't get into Walking Dead. I do like Walking Dead. Anyway, don't be too hard on Jessica. Some people make comments about, I get a range of comments on that whole series of how it's just not violent enough. One person commented actually on Amazon that it was more of a mild post-apocalyptic story, and I think that's true. It's not maybe something that, I love action movies. It's not like super violent because I'm not a violent person, and so it's hard it's funny because even writing violence can be challenging sometimes because, although I'm getting better at it, but even writing violence can be difficult sometimes because when I'm writing, I'm really imagining myself in the position of that character. And so it's difficult for me to write really violent things because that's not me. I can't see myself actually committing violence. So it's hard for me to even have my characters do super violent things. So, however, there are people who comment, boy, there's a lot of guns. A lot of these people are from other countries, I have to say. And I just want to point out that I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. And the reason we have the Second Amendment is not for hunting. The reason we have the Second Amendment is to prevent tyranny of our government. So it's important that we have a way to defend ourselves and also to defend ourselves against criminals. So yeah, a lot of people in our country have guns, but there's a good reason. And that's a whole other debate that I don't even want to get into. But I just want to point out that in the United States of America, having a way to defend ourselves is a core principle of millions and millions of people. So there's going to be guns in my books. That's just how it is. Another comment people make is, why did they go to California? Because California has all kinds of problems. Well, a few things about that. Number one, I was born and raised in California. I grew up in San Jose, California, the Bay Area. And then my husband and I moved to the Central Valley where my characters go, and we lived there for a number of years. Now, we moved out of California in 1999. A lot of my experience in that area is from the 1990s, and so things were not as crazy then as they are now. And my in-laws had a place near where the story in No Safe Place and Insurrection in that area. And I based a lot of the story kind of on where they lived. And when I published those books in 2019, things were better in California than they are now. So you have to keep that in mind. You can't exactly look at what's happening in California today as to how things were when I wrote the story. So maybe keep that in mind when you're judging, hey, they shouldn't go to California, that's dumb. Also, in the story, that's a place they had to go where there was a kind of a homestead set up. Agriculture in the Central Valley of California is a big thing. It's well known for agriculture. The soil is really rich. It's a great place to grow produce, and that's an important thing. So besides, if they went someplace where there is no conflict, that's part of the story, is the conflict that they dealt with when they got there. So it wouldn't be as interesting if they didn't have some of that conflict. Other people have mentioned, well, there should have been lots of food in homes still. So I don't see why they had so much trouble finding food. And that could be true. However, before everything fell apart, there were still a lot of people alive before they died of the virus. And if you think about it, most people, I think, only have a few days worth of food in their pantries. And so if people were kind of stuck in their homes and there was not really a chance to go out and stock up, their food would be gone pretty quickly before they died of the virus. So there may be a lot less food in people's homes than you think. And finally, I've had a lot of people request a 5th book in the pandemic series, and so I'm considering writing it. Right now, I'm working on the 4th book in my EMP Collapse series, which I'll be doing as an audiobook soon. And that 4th book in that series won't be the end of that series. But I've had a lot of people request a 5th book in my pandemic series, so there's a good chance that I'll write a 5th book. But I have to come up with ideas of what I want to happen. And I have some ideas, but I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it. So that may be coming, but I'll announce it for sure once I make a decision for sure. But I just want to say thank you for listening to my books. And if I don't respond to your comments, then that doesn't mean I didn't see them. Maybe I just had nothing to say. Maybe it was a snarky comment and my mom taught me that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And so sometimes I just don't reply to comments, but I really appreciate the positive comments. And sometimes I just need to not even look at them because like I said in the beginning, they do affect my creativity when I'm working on my new books. So I kind of need to not look at them, but it's also, I do want to respond to the people who have nice things to say because I appreciate that. But anyway, I hope you keep listening to my books and thanks for watching.